Hello and welcome to the HR Like a Boss podcast. I'm your host, John Bernatovich. I have embarked on a journey to get to know amazingly awesome HR and business professionals with the hope to find out what it takes to do HR like a boss. If you enjoy the show, please make sure that you subscribe and hit that 5-star rating. Welcome back to the HR Like a Boss podcast. I'm your host, John Bernatovich. Super excited to be joined by Dr. Emily Feltner. Dr. Emily is a former colleague of a fan of the HR Like a Boss podcast, and that fan highly recommended Dr. Emily to be on the show, so much that she was questioning, why am I going to be on an HR podcast? Well, you're going to find out here in a few quick minutes. Dr. Emily, welcome to the HR Like a Boss podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you today. I'm really excited about our conversation.
I'm curious, Dr. Emily, how would you initially, from your perspective, I ask all guests, the very first question is, how would you describe the purpose of human resources? And I'm so curious of your perspective of that as a professional educator.
I think from my lens, it's really about cultivating people, like helping the people that we serve reach their potential. And I think it's about creating the conditions for people to work together and then work towards the vision of the organization. So I think my purpose really is, it's about people first and the vision second, which might have a different lens than others who may be in a traditional human resources position.
And you mentioned before we got onto the show, this idea of having a vision and being passionate about it. What does that mean to you as a leader? And how can HR professionals learn from you as a manager of people, what the importance of that vision and passion can mean?
Well, I think first of all, I have a very strong belief system in what I stand for. And I really do believe that my role in life is to really make life better for others. And I do that by showing up big every day. It's kind of my motto, show up big. I think if you get up and get dressed and start your day, that if you're going to get up, you might as well show up big. And so I really try every day to strive to think of every decision I make, will it in the future make life better for others? And I think when you approach life that way, you're not approaching a career, you're approaching a calling. And so for me, when I think about how to do that and how to teach others, I think it's just really understanding what I stand for, and making sure that everything aligns with that. And what I say, words are kind of cheap sometimes, right? So my actions have to match that. So I always think about people first, paper second. I think when we think about all of the management tasks we have to do, we have to really put people first in that. And I think I do that by building teams, learning in my organization. If we're not learning, obviously I'm in a learning institution. And so I feel like if the adults aren't learning, kids aren't learning. And so for me, it's about creating a learning organization where everybody wants to learn together. I think it's about hiring people who have a passion for students first, and then a passion for teaching second. And then aligning all of our efforts together. And I do that a lot through the idea of building strong teams and collaborating with each other. I think one of the things that I strive to do is always to do things with people and not to people. And it takes time. And it takes a system to do that. But it also means that when we make decisions together, we own those decisions, and we have a lot more ownership in the decisions, and then we can take the action steps to make it happen. So I think that's part of that passion I have for what I do.
One of the things I want to talk about was how successful you've been, or some of the things that you lead in the foundation of building teams together. What does that look like if I'm on Dr. Emily's team, if I'm a direct reporter of yours? What does that team orientation feel like?
Well, one of the things it feels like is that you come together to a table weekly. So I think it's really important to say, I can't build a team if I see you once a quarter. And so we sit down and we think about what are the biggest challenges we're facing, and we work on them together. We learn together. So if we create the vision together, We talk about that. What is our vision? We align everything to it. We meet, we learn about it. And whether that's, if it's a new skill or a new piece of knowledge that we don't know, then we read an article, we read books, we learn together on how can we lead this forward. I think learning together is one of the easiest ways to build a team, because you get people's perspectives on the table and it's not personal. It's about a piece of information. And so for me, learning together is really key in my work, right? I mean, I'm in a learning institution. And so oftentimes we say, well, what does the workplace need for our students? And if we don't know that, if we haven't read the most recent research, we can't lead towards it. And so we have to research, and we have to read together, and we have to learn together, and we talk about it. Well, what would that look like? And then we walk out the steps, right? You think about, what would it look like in our organization to make that happen? And we develop a plan, and then we start living the plan. And then each week we come back and say, how are we doing with the plan, right? So, and then I coach. I think for me, what you would see from me is I hold you accountable, but I also coach you along the way. So being on my team means that I'm going to definitely make sure you understand the expectations. I'm also going to celebrate every small piece we have. I think we forget that a little bit, right? So I think remembering that small wins are wins. And so to stop and celebrate, and to get people together to say, let's acknowledge that we've made a step this week. So I think we missed some opportunities when we don't coach and support, hold people accountable, and celebrate the wins. I think those are some big pieces that you can do on a team. People often say they're on a team, but when you say, what does it feel like? We have a collective responsibility. So your work is my work is your work. And so if one of us is not doing well, all of us are taking responsibility to make a change and make it so that you are doing well.
How would you describe someone that does HR like a boss?
I think people who do HR like a boss, they do things with people and not to people. They create shared vision. They train for the skills they need to carry the vision out. They gather around the table often and solve hard problems together. You hold people accountable for the work, and you stand up for the work and for your people, no matter how hard it might be. So I think, to me, that would be HR like a boss.
Thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed having you on the show.
Thank you. It was an honor. It was a privilege. So I'm excited about your book. I can't wait to get a hold of it and learn more.
Thanks for checking out the HR Like a Boss podcast. If it resonates with you, please leave a rating and review, or better yet, subscribe and share with a friend. Until next time, let's continue to aspire to do amazingly awesome HR.